Robert. Robert, we're good. The table.
Yep. All right, good evening, everybody. Today is Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. The time is 6:02, and I'm going to go ahead and call the October Human Rights Commission meeting to order. To kick things off, we'll start with a round of introductions. My name is Robert Marshall. I am the vice chair of the Human Rights Commission. I use he/him pronouns. Chair Lara Midkiff he has some prior obligations, but he's going to try to jump in late, and we will welcome him when he gets here. I'll go ahead and kick it off to Zoom for introductions, and then we'll kick it back into the room to city staff. So, Commissioner Murray, do you want to get us started?
I would love to. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kelsey Murray. I use she/her pronouns, and I am a commissioner on the Human Rights Commission. And I will pass it to Tony.
Hello, my name is Tony Marys. I started on the Disability Rights Task Force and just joined here. I'm a formerly unhoused citizen. And thank you for having me. And I will hand it off to Jackie.
Hello, Commissioner Jackie Roche. I forgot what else I was, am I supposed to say anything else?
That's good. Your pronouns if you'd like.
No, she, her. I'll pass it on to Kara or Kara. Is it Kara?
It's
Yeah.
Kira.
Kira. Oh, it was spelled
Yeah.
differently. No, wait, there's a Kira and there's a Kara.
There's a Kira and a Kara, so I'm
Oh.
not sure which one you
Kara.
wanted.
I mean, you're already unmuted, Kira, so go ahead.
Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Kira Pressey. I am a commissioner on this commission, and I am chair of the LGBTQIA plus committee. And my pronouns are she, her, and I live in Ward 5. And we'll go to Kara or Kara, whichever.
No, you got it right the first time.
Awesome.
My name is Kara. I am a commissioner on the commission, and I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner. And is there anyone left to pass?
Celine, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Celine Coleman, I'm one of the commissioners.
Welcome. Councilor Brown, would you like to introduce yourself? And thank you so much for attending. We greatly appreciate your presence at these meetings.
Greetings, everyone. Chair, it's good to be in this space. Dr. Brown here, city councilors. Good to see the commissioners and also Director Bennett. And so my camera will be off, but I'm in the background listening if you need any support. I'm just a phone call away. But you're in great hands because Director Bennett is there. So
thank you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Gretchen Bennett, staff, and thank you.
And Chris Snyder with the City of Salem as well, staff.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to agenda item 3, member remarks and announcements on non-agenda items. Are there any commissioners or guests that would like to share anything at this time? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to any public comment.
We had none received coming into the meeting. We do have a carry forward from the last agenda from public comment later on the agenda from last month, but we don't have any new public comment received this evening.
Okay. Thank you, Director Bennett. And let's go into bias, crimes, and complaints of discrimination.
Yep, I want to first send regrets from Salem Police Department. They sincerely apologize, but we're not able to have a person come this evening, but predict to return to a regular cadence in November. The short-term scheduling conflicts are coming to an end, so they look forward to getting back with you. And in the meantime, sent me a report that they had 3 situations in the last period. The first one was a situation in South Salem that related to menacing and related to race, ethnicity, or national origin. Officers responded to reports of a man loudly threatening neighbors and making violent statements. At one point, the suspect began making comments about one of the victims' race or ethnicity, although this occurred later. The person ignored, resisted, and continued yelling during the encounter. The police arrived and was able to arrest and take into custody related to disorderly conduct and resisting arrest. Bias crime resources were offered to those affected, though the motive for the original threats were not confirmed as bias related. That kind of came out later after the agitation. Another situation was also in Southeast, and this was a criminal mischief issue of graffiti related to race. Officers responded to a report of graffiti containing racial slurs and other markings on a commercial building. The damage was estimated at several $1,000s, and the affected area wasn't covered by video surveillance. The case has been inactivated pending suspect leads or some additional evidence to know who would have done it. I have a third situation related to derogatory language and race. Officers responded to a disturbance at a local bar after a suspect directed racial slurs toward an employee and engaged in inappropriate physical contact with patrons. The suspect fled before officers arrived, but did return the following day, at which time they were arrested for disorderly conduct and criminal trespass. The incident was documented as a bias incident, as the suspect's inappropriate contact was not bias related. However, the racial slurs towards the employee appear to be in response to being removed from the business rather than motivated by bias. The victim was provided information on the Oregon Department of Justice bias response hotline. So those are the three that I have. And if there were any questions that I don't know, I'd be happy to take those back to Sergeant Dowd. And then I know he'll be able to join next month.
Thank you, Director Bennett. I'll open it up to commissioners for any questions for Director Bennett or for the Salem Police Department. All right, no questions. Did that also include the complaints of discrimination, or do you have complaints of discrimination?
I actually have that for the complaints of discrimination. For the month of September, there were 4 reports received. The first one was submitted in regards to an ADA and due process complaint. So it was recorded as a law enforcement / disability. The second one was a person submitted a Title VI complaint regarding their landlord and housing repairs and living conditions. And then the 2 others are other sections. One that we'll talk about a little bit later is the recommendation to recognize Susan B. Anthony Day to celebrate women's rights in Oregon. And the other one was a person submitted a request for which the department or commission would be open to public street artwork request. And then as a follow-up to a past month, I believe it was the month of August, related to a place of public accommodation, an investigation was conducted, and upon review of the videos and surveillance footage, there were actually two sets of individuals that were, there was a request saying that they were racially or ethnically discriminated against. But due to the policy that was in place and being publicly available for people to see, the area in which they were asked to leave was not racist or ethnically biased. And it was resolved quietly. I don't have any other information on that.
Thank you, Chris. Are there any questions from commissioners?
So lots of questions as I'm getting used to this, Commissioner Jackie.
Oh, go ahead.
So when you receive reports of discrimination, can you refresh my mind on like who are people reporting that to? Is that them reporting it to the police or a different entity?
So those actually come to staff through the mostly we get them through email via the city webpage for Human Rights Commissions. There's a online form that people can submit their complaint, whether it's a ADA complaint or if it's Title VI complaint. Those forms are online, and then internally those come to Gretchen and I to do the review and initiate the initial contact and identify where we should be directing that for follow-up by whether it's a different department or if it's an internal citywide issue or versus a public issue with talking with business owners or wherever the case may be.
Okay, and so you're just letting us know that, like, where is the commission brought in? Like, are we brought in to help, like, talk about situations, or is it just a point of contact to then go to the correct place?
Depending on the issue, it'll determine if there's a need for a request for help from a commissioner, that would be made. But if it's something that we can easily direct to a specific department that handles those types of things, then we make that specific request.
Okay, I just wanted to voice that. I think it's really neat that there's an opportunity or a location people can report, because before I heard about this commission, I had no clue that someone could report a discrimination concern with the city of Salem. Like I had no clue. So when I hear people talking about stuff, it'd be nice just to bring about awareness. So that's where all these questions are coming from. And I just wanted to know the process of which takes place.
Thank you. Any other questions?
All right, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move on to agenda item 4C, the Community Belonging Survey Council Report Update. To fill everybody in, on September 22nd, I had the honor of presenting our 2025 Community Belonging Survey findings to City Council. It was an opportunity for us to share just the work that this body puts into conducting the survey, but really to just highlight the types discrimination that people are experiencing in the city of Salem, as well as their comfort reporting it to Salem Police Department, as well as the HRC. We received several comments and questions from counselors, as well as some follow-up emails, one of them being from Deputy Director Ashley Hamilton from Mid-Willamette Valley Community Action Agency, just really appreciating the work that the Human Rights Commission is doing to shed light on locations and types of discrimination, particularly amongst those experiencing homelessness. And then we also received an email from Deputy Chief Deb Aguilar from the Salem Police Department. She wasn't able to attend the council meeting, but she wanted to acknowledge that there's still work to be done, at the police department level, and wanted to thank the partnership that we're able to share between the commission and the police department in addressing these concerns of discrimination, but then also making the city of Salem a more welcoming and inclusive environment for everybody. So those were just my highlights and takeaways, but I did want to open it up to any questions or comments from commissioners. And then I also wanted to welcome Linnell Wilcox into this space. She's been a huge supporter of the work that we do. And then I also wanted to invite Dr. Brown for any questions or comments that he might have. So. All right, Commissioner Pressey.
Hey, Robert. Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair Marshall. I can speak. I just wanted to tell you that I watched your presentation and I just wanted to give you kudos. I thought you did a really great job. And I was silently in support. So thank you for taking that on. I know that can be a lot to present to council. So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Woman.
I'm just reporting from the NAACP. They were very impressed with the presentation that Robert gave, and just the fact that findings were presented in general. So just sharing that feedback.
Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Roche and then Linnell.
I can't find my hand raised button. Thank you. I just wanted to say that I am after the meeting in a different situation, I heard somebody reference the presentation and how grateful they were for the very end where they edified and thanked the work of the police department, because so often it can seem so polarizing with the different groups in the department. So they just said that they were very glad, and it was really well presented and working and complimentary of all parties. So on behalf of what I overheard someone say, I just wanted to pass that on.
Thank you. Linnell?
I want to echo those compliments. I was there for it in person, and I also shared it with ladies at Safe Sleep United Women's Shelter because they knew of the survey. They had taken the survey. They were curious about the results. So we showed the video of it to Safe Sleep ladies twice, different sets of ladies. I felt like you totally rocked it. Not just because you're sharing the information that needs to be shared, but the way that you kind of wove it as a beautiful collaboration was just so perfect. And it was also the way that you really emphasized, like 7 out of 10 people who are homeless are reporting being experiencing discrimination or violence. And the ladies that we serve felt so seen and so heard and so identified with, like finally some of this information is being shared publicly. We feel like the numbers are even higher than that, but there's only so many people we can survey and have the results of, and it's already, hugely trying to get homeless input. But it was the way that you presented it was beautiful. And I think that it just highlighted to me how important this survey is, because even as we're going forward and the city has a Bloomberg Harvard mentoring team going for the year, and I was privileged to be able to attend the first meeting for that. The balance is still so imbalanced. Businesses are sharing how many things are happening to them that are not even being reported because we don't have the staffing for every situation to have follow-up. And we're sharing that individuals who are experiencing homelessness have even lower reporting times because, of retaliation, fear. Will anybody hear them? Will anybody care? And they often don't have phones. And if they have phones, they often don't have cell service on a regular basis. So their phones might not be charged all the time. So the underreporting is huge. And it seems like businesses are really conveying that. And I feel like we need to continue to convey that the facts that homeless individuals are more likely to be the victims of violence than the perpetrators. And they're also way more likely and way more unable to make reports about those situations. So if we're doing data-informed decision-making, there's a lot of data missing. And I think the survey that you guys do and summarize and share, the way that you presented it really brings so much of that to light so that people will have more context and accuracy as they have to make some of these hard decisions. So thank you so much, all of you. And you rocked the presentation, Robert.
Thank you, Linnell. And Linnell, I also want to thank you again. We recognize that the number of unsheltered individuals and those experiencing homelessness that do conduct the survey would be a lot lower without the work that you and your team put into making sure that survey gets out there, and making sure that we're sitting and walking alongside those folks. We know that oftentimes surveys with a lot of questions can be overwhelming. And so I just want to thank you and your team of volunteers and advocates for working with those individuals and encouraging them to share their experiences. And I also want to thank you for sitting down with the ladies at Safe Sleep and showing them the presentation. I think oftentimes individuals know that a survey is being done, but then they oftentimes question what happens afterwards. And a lot of them don't have access to TV or the ability to find those presentations on YouTube, or don't necessarily feel comfortable attending those presentations in public settings. And so I want to thank you and your staff at Safe Sleep for putting that out there. So again, thank you. And I do see that Dr. Brown has turned their camera back on. So I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My words are going to be few. I do want to compliment you and the commissioners on a job well done in sharing your presentation and the results. And although I'm not speaking on behalf of Madam Mayor or even the counselors, from where I sit, every time we go through and we share this data, it's important. I think it's vital that we share with the community the things that are being said. And so to have an opportunity to use that platform to share about the work that you're doing, I will always give you, you and the team kudos, because that's a hard job. And usually, sometimes we overlook the data. And so thank you. Definitely keep doing the good work that you're doing. We know that it's not easy. And we also know that it's just a snapshot, right? It doesn't encapsulate the entire, all of Salem, because although we do believe it is statistically significant, we know that it's not going to satisfy everybody. And so having said that, thank you, Mr. Chair, for the work that you're doing, and also for all the commissioners, and just keep on moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Any other questions or comments regarding the presentation? All right, seeing none. I do just want to remind people that, so for us, next steps, likely starting in January, we'll be preparing for the 2026 Community Belonging Survey. I do also want to, take time again to thank any of the Western Oregon University students from last year that might be watching this presentation for their work in helping create the survey, helping field the survey, and then analyzing the data. They put a lot of work into helping us, and we can't thank that partnership that we have with Western Oregon University and the students that take that class, and especially Professor Marianne Bradshaw, who also attended the presentation, was able to help answer some questions. So I look forward to January. If you have questions or ideas of things that you want to add to the survey for next year, please start writing those down and bring those to future meetings, either the HRC meeting or the Community Engagement Committee meeting. We will move on to agenda item 4D, planning a public conversation on citizenship, discrimination, and reporting barriers. And it sounds like Director Bennett's got some updates for us on that.
I do, thank you. And Chris, if you wouldn't mind sharing the flyer, sharing the screen. I know. I want to remind everybody of this conversation. Speaking of the belonging survey, you had, or would you like us, you want some, there you go, right there, yep. You had observed in a previous survey that people who are Indigenous, people who are here without papers, with varying situations related to citizenship status, are less likely to report concerns of discrimination or bias than others. And so you wanted to dig in and hold a conversation about that. And so I wanted to give you an update on where we are with planning. Chris is showing the flyer that we have related to this so far. And I'd like to recognize and appreciate one of our students from Willamette University who's interning with us, Caitlin I'm not sure how to pronounce her middle name, Biesel or Beisel Rosales, who designed this flyer for us. She's also taken the language that you all had approved at a previous meeting. You might remember you considered what questions would you want to ask, which speakers would you want to have, and you worked through a concept for a community conversation. Caitlin's taken that and fashioned it into an invitation to the potential speakers. So we're in the middle of learning right now who might be interested and available to join us for this conversation. We're polling 2 dates, so we'd also be interested for those of you who would like to attend and participate to know whether these dates are good for you. The 2 dates that we're polling are Wednesday, November 5th at 6 p.m. and Wednesday, November 19th at 6 p.m. You might remember from a previous meeting, we're going to hold this completely on Zoom, and we'll be bilingual English and Spanish is what we're planning. So I just wanted to provide you with that update, and I certainly welcome any questions or comments.
The Tony and Dr. Brown hand up.
Let's start with Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Director Bennett, for sharing that. I absolutely, love the direction we're going, and I love the flyer and everything. My only question, Director Bennett's probably already know what I'm probably going to say, but when I see the word citizenship, that word could stir up a lot of emotions depending on what camp you're in, especially in this current political environment. Although I would favor that word, I think we want to be just sensitive because obviously we have a lot of families throughout the city that have a lot of concerns and as legitimate concerns in regards to deportation. And so when you think about the use of that word, I just wanted to be mindful that could be trigger some folks.
Counselor Dr. Brown, this is Gretchen. I'm really grateful for that feedback. I bet we can continue to work on this phrasing. I don't know if we're quite getting to where we want to get. And I appreciate that. The words will bring so much meaning, misunderstanding, assumption. So we'll continue to play with that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dr. Brown. Commissioner Marys.
Hi, thank you. We are talking about this is going to be a bilingual conversation. Is there a way that we could note on here that it will be bilingual so that people will know up front?
Commissioner Marys, thank you. Good catch. In fact, we should do the whole flyer in Spanish as well. Thank you. And also note the bilingual nature of the event. Thank you. Good catch.
Thank you, Commissioner Marys. Are there any other questions or comments?
Sorry, I didn't raise my hand. I just have one question for Gretchen. Do you know where the city's planning to distribute the flyers or through what avenues?
Yes, absolutely. We would use our email listserv, for lack of a better phrase, of the folks that have asked to get information from the Human Rights Commission. I would share it out with our neighborhood association, community neighbors. I'd share it with the city's communications team for the communications channels that we have through the city. I also think it's possible that some of the folks that are being invited to speak might be sharing within their organizations as well to help get the word out, because it would be a public opportunity.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none. Director Bennett, I do want to thank you so much for you and your team for putting this flyer together and for all the work that you've been doing in the background to help bring this conversation to light. Regarding Dr. Brown's comments about citizenship and how that could potentially stir up some some heartache and controversy. I wonder if maybe we could opt for a public conversation on belonging, discrimination, and reporting bias, so that we're not putting the word citizenship in bold, but we are capturing belonging. And I think we do kind of capture the audience that we're looking to present to in some of the lighter print. We do call out that it is a resource for undocumented individuals and legal protections and resources. But I think by not adding citizenship in bold letters for people that are just skimming titles, we're not gonna get so much pushback from that. I also do want to echo, I think once we nail down some of these other points, in terms of time, date, and Zoom link, running a copy of this in Spanish, and then also some social media marketing. And then I do want to add, I think for the Zoom link, because oftentimes Zoom links can be really hard to fit on flyers and they can look really confusing, is opting for a QR code in that Zoom link space for individuals to be able to click on. But I do want to thank you both for your work on this flyer and all the time behind the scenes on it.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Are there any other questions before we move on to the next agenda item?
I have a question. This is Commissioner Murray. I have no idea where my hand raise button is. Can we maybe reach out to some community groups to ask them about the wording of citizenship? If they think, like, when I say community groups, I mean like people, especially who work with undocumented individuals, to see if they have any ideas about what they feel might be the right word to use. Because I'm hesitant to just go ahead and say, let's not use it or let's use it, kind of without getting some community input.
Commissioner Murray, this is Gretchen. Yeah, I think we can. We're now in dialogue with those organizations that were listed in your earlier concept document. And I think that as with their experiences and connecting with people in the community, I think they might have some ideas for us too. Thank you. Yep, will do.
Yeah, thank you for that comment, Commissioner Murray, and thank you, Director Bennett. I think that's an excellent point. I think we could probably share with those organizations that are going to be speakers. I think we could share the entire draft and then seek input before we go public. They might also have some comment in some of the other language. And I do want to make sure that if we're doing this event, that it is inclusive and that it does center around the needs and concerns of the groups of individuals that we're looking to serve with this presentation. So to the extent that we can get their buy-in before going public, I think it would be great. I do see that Commissioner Roche has their hand up.
Yes, when Dr. Brown shared that, I was like, oh, that's a good point. But then when Commissioner Murray spoke, I was like, oh, there's another good point, because I was wondering, well, from my understanding, a lot of undocumented immigrants might have apprehension to even file or start the process of citizenship because maybe perhaps they're nervous about what will happen because they are here without papers. And so is that part of the conversation? Because if that is, and like the safety that they do have to maybe, if they want to go down that path, take those steps. So the word citizenship would be very applicable there. So I really love the idea, if that is one of the topics, of going to those groups and asking, does this make sense to have the word or not? So it was like oh, I didn't even think about that. So thank you for bringing that up.
Commissioner Roche, thank you so much for kind of considering all of the different aspects of this. And I liked how you put, well, what is the topics? And it got me thinking the focus and scope of the Human Rights Commission is specifically around helping everybody be comfortable to report a bias crime, a hate incident, an experience of discrimination. We don't have a role or expertise in guiding anybody around the citizenship process. That's just not in the city's wheelhouse and not the Human Rights Commission's wheelhouse. So I think our aim is looking for ways to improve our process or help communities be comfortable if they do move about their lives in Salem and experience hate, bias, discrimination, that we want to find a way to learn about that. And so I think that that's at the heart of this conversation. So we don't want to distract people into thinking, oh, you can come here and learn about whether you should apply for citizenship or how that works, because we don't know anything about that. So thank you for bringing that up. It's good to be really intentional with our words in this, you know?
Thank you, Director Bennett. Are there any other questions or comments regarding this agenda item? Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move down to agenda item 4E. To refresh everyone's memory, there was some public comment that was received in September asking about the Human Rights Commission's thoughts and potentially putting some momentum about honoring women's rights and then celebrating Susan B. Anthony on February 15th, which is Women's Rights Month, I believe. And then so that was brought here to the commission, and then there was some question regarding it. I do want to share before we get started that there was a comment from Commissioner Ballard, who wasn't able to be here, stating that while they support an effort to shine a light on women's rights, they think we should choose to honor a person. It should be someone with more ties to Oregon. For example, Harriet Redmond. So I wanted to bring it back up because it sounded like this was a conversation that we wanted to resume from last meeting as people had more time to think about it. So I will kick it off to commissioners or staff for more information. Okay, there's no comments from staff, but it looks like Commissioner Roche has questions or comments.
Yeah. So I was the one that asked if we could postpone it because I didn't understand how all this worked. So thank you. And I went back and listened to our brief conversation before, and so that I had context because I was overwhelmed the first meeting. And I guess a good question that was brought up is, are they expecting us to help facilitate anything? Because I would agree with the comment that was made by one of the commissioners that that's like just the bandwidth that we have. It doesn't state that, but so that is a question specifically I would have for who submitted this. And the other thing, in reading it in the second large paragraph, they said that let this be our springboard. With your blessing, I'm prepared to create a coalition to develop this idea further. A panel of women's success stories in the workplace has been suggested. I would almost say, you know, in September 14th, 1871, she spoke at the Reed Opera House. And how cool would that be? Just my brainstorming thoughts to ask the Reed, hey, could you host it there? And then bring in a panel of all the other women of different ethnicities to highlight the different pieces throughout history of the women's rights movements. So it's not just featuring a white woman, but it's bringing in all the different aspects, but letting her be the springboard, like they said in the letter. To me, that is honoring of the vast majority of the different women that have played a role across the color scheme. I don't know what you call that. I am, this is the Human Rights Commission, and that includes white people too. And so to dismiss her because she was white, to me seems a disservice with the role that she played, especially the heavy role in the abolitionist movement that she played leading up to her role in fighting for women's suffrage. So I wanted to bring that aspect to light because I don't think it's one or the other. I think it should be a combination of. So those were my thoughts on that. But if they want us to lead that, I would have to agree with, I think it was Commissioner Murray had said that.
Any other questions? discussion?
Chair Marshall, I can add, I did update the person who'd written the letter and did a call and an email and sent the link with the recording, the video of your meeting so that they could see as well. Mentioned some of the questions, but didn't hear back. So I'm not sure about how to answer that question of, are they imagining that we would do it?
Thank you, Director Bennett. Looking at it, it sounds like they wanted to just kind of run this idea past them. I mean, it sounds like they were prepared to develop it forward. I think we could bring some of the thoughts that Commissioner Roche had. I think you just send another follow-up and then ask them. But I mean, it sounds like from my interpretation of this, I think it just sounds like they wanted, kind of our thoughts and to potentially put it on a radar. It sounds like this was an event that they were looking to put together. So I think we probably just update them of that, and then if they come back with a request for us to either host or plan an event, I think we can then see what that looks like from there. That said, any other questions, comments, or discussion from commissioners on this topic? All right, seeing none, we're off to Commissioner Coleman.
Yeah, sorry, I had multiple emojis, tech issues. In February, I don't know what the goal of this person's, the objective is yet, but I think it would look very bad in terms of optics if an event for women's rights occurred without taking in Jackie's feedback, because the Black community would feel alienated since the city doesn't do any Black event during February outside of the city proclamation typically. So I just want to share that.
Thank you for sharing, Commissioner Coleman. Any other comments, discussion? All right, moving on to agenda item 4F, Salem Speaks Up, and the HRC December agenda date. So to fill everybody in, a private group of organizers used to host an event called Salem Speaks Up on December 10th, which was National Human Rights Day. And it was an open mic forum for individuals to come and just share their thoughts, concerns, or questions regarding human rights in the city of Salem. And 2 years ago, they reached out to the HRC and asked if it was something the HRC wanted to help with. We agreed and we said yes. And for the last 2 years, the HRC had helped facilitate and host Salem Speaks Up. But in the course of it, it sounded like there were just some, I guess, differences of opinions based off of, the way the old group wanted to do it, and then the way some of the members of the Human Rights Commission that were involved in it saw it. And to some, including myself, it seemed like the original organizers wanted a lot of input on it, but then we're relying heavily on the commission to adapt to kind of their vision and hosting it, and it didn't necessarily always align with I guess the vision and the goals of the Human Rights Commission. I do want to open it up to Commissioner Murray, who was kind of leading the Salem Speaks Up efforts for the HRC for the last 2 years. And invite them to provide any additional clarification on.
Sure. I don't have too much else to add. It was honestly a capacity decision, both the capacity of the commission and Gretchen, that we were taking on a majority of the planning and the execution of the event. with not a lot of attendance. The events the last 2 years didn't have like the attendance that they used to have. And we wanted to both honor the original event, but wanted some innovation, and there wasn't too much support in that innovation, which is absolutely fine. So we kind of said that we would no longer be facilitating that group, that if another group wanted to take a lead and plan it, that we could absolutely be in attendance and support that event in that way. But we just decided that we're going to step away from the event. I think right now it's in limbo for this year.
Thank you. It looks like Director Bennett's got some updates.
Yeah.
Share that the community members have identified a location and have developed a plan to hold Salem Speaks Up. I know the local United Nations chapter association has played a key role in moving that forward. And so the event is going to happen. So it'll be December 10th. And the time and location, I think, I don't remember for sure, so I don't want to say it wrong, but I would expect that we'll get an update. Commissioner Murray, I did share out your flyer from last year because they were hoping to update that. So I know they'll be working on a flyer update. So the last part of this would just be to say that some of you might be interested in attending because of its relationship to Human Rights Day and because of the potential for people to share concerns of discrimination at the event. And our meeting, as happenstance would have it, also falls on December 10th this year. So there was some conversation about, would you want to move your commission meeting in December to a different night in order to accommodate also being able to attend Salem Speaks Up? So I'd offer, if you'd like to consider that, maybe Wednesday, December 3rd, just the week before, might make sense. It gets tough to get quorum if you get too into the last 2 weeks of December, in my experience.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that update, Director Bennett. I think that's great that that another community organization wanted to continue honoring this tradition of Salem Speaks Up. I know for me personally, in some of the conversations that we had, we had expressed that the HRC would continue supporting that event while we wouldn't be necessarily involved in the planning and organization piece. We did commit to supporting the event by having an attendance there. So I personally would opt to attend that Salem Speaks Up event as a representative from the Human Rights Commission and as a way of hearing what the community has to say regarding Human Rights Day. I would be in support of moving the December HRC meeting to December 3rd. I do want to kick that conversation over to the rest of the commissioners to see what their thoughts are on potentially rescheduling our commission meeting for the month of December so that commissioners are free to attend Salem Speaks Up should they want to. Right. Looks like Commissioner Coleman's going to kick us off.
I agree with Commissioner with what everything you've said. I think there's value to attending as commissioners, but it is a heavy lift to plan it. So I think we should move our meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. Commissioner Roche.
I agree. I was just going to say I'm available on the 3rd.
Okay. All right. I guess we'll just go ahead and take this as a vote. Are there is there anybody opposed to moving the meeting from December 10th to December 3rd? Not seeing any objections. Director Bennett, can you go ahead and schedule our December Human Rights Commission meeting to December 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m. And can you alert the event organizers that members of the Human Rights Commission will be attending on December 10th, and then ask them if they would like anybody from the commission to provide any remarks or comments that either myself or Chair Lara Midkiff don't want to speak for him, but I think one of us could easily provide either a blurb about the HRC does, or just share some thoughts or comments.
Yes, will do.
Thank you, Director Bennett. Moving on to agenda item 4G, community calendar. So for those that aren't familiar, the commissioner that used to do our community calendar, Commissioner Strayer, is now in California attending college and resigned their position. I don't think they've updated the community calendar for us, but I will kick it over to Director Bennett for any updates on the community calendar, or if there's anybody from the commission that knows of any community events that are happening in the month of October they would like us to all be aware of. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and jump down to agenda item 5A. So we're going to get into our community and project updates. So the Community Engagement Committee didn't meet last month. We were wrapping up the community belonging survey. We wrapped up that report to council, and then myself and Chair Lara Midkiff had a meeting with Director Bennett as well as Chris to discuss kind of next steps for the data visualization task force. For those that aren't familiar, for a while now, we've wanted to develop a way for us to be able to visualize some of the data that the HRC handles in terms of, the community belonging survey, as well as the numbers and types of complaints that are coming. And we wanted to find a way to develop a dashboard, working with the GIS team to find ways that we can illustrate that publicly without sharing locations. We don't want to share locations where discrimination is happening, but we do want to be able to, kind of provide that broad overview of data. So that is in the works. We're currently working on scheduling meetings with the rest of city staff that will be helping us with that. Likely somebody from the Salem Police Department, Dan, or somebody from the GIS team, as well as somebody from the City of Salem's communications team, and then just developing how we can get some of that data published and up on a dashboard of sorts. So that's my update regarding it. But it looks like we've already got some questions, so I don't have to ask. I'm just going to go ahead and kick it over to Commissioner Marys.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. My question is, you said that we don't want to share the location of where the discrimination happened. Could we break it down by ward without giving?
So that was something that we discussed in some of our earlier conversations. We still don't want to break it down by ward and show ward specific data of where discriminations or complaints are coming from, because we don't want to give the perception to the community that certain areas of Salem are safer than other areas of Salem. We then start getting into dabbling into some legal issues and a lot of questions that would come from the community because that data gets out there. You could eventually have property owners that could come back and say that data is hurting their ability to sell or buy, rent, or lease properties in those wards. And so for us, it's not really so much about listing locations of where discrimination is happening, but being able to show the city of Salem, like showing community members and residents that hey, this is what is happening in your city. But then these are also the things that the commission's doing. So it's just a way of being able to illustrate just some of the data we're working with, putting that in a public setting without necessarily making certain neighborhoods in Salem look more or less safe than others.
Okay.
Commissioner Roche.
Actually, it's regarding the calendar thing. So when you're done with this, can we go back one?
Yes. Thank you. Any other questions regarding the community engagement? No? Okay, Commissioner Roche, we're gonna go and backtrack to agenda item 4G.
Thank you. Garton Services is holding their annual Garton Gala or Gala on October 24th. Is this the kind of announcement, or was that supposed to be at the very beginning?
No, I think this is a perfect timing.
Perfect. This year, because of some funding cuts, this year their focus is on the youth employment services. So 100% of the donations goes to support that. It is youth with disabilities, and it helps them have year-round training, development, and career support, equipping them with valuable skills and the confidence to be independent. So it's a lot of fun. It's going to be a masquerade theme.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Roche. If you happen to have a flyer, if you wouldn't mind sending that to Director Bennett, Director Bennett can then send that information out to commissioners. And then it looks like Commissioner Coleman has their hand up.
I'm just gonna add to that with one event. Highland Neighborhood Association is having their fall festival Saturday, or this Saturday, at Center 50 Plus from 9 to 1 p.m. And basically there'll be a clothing swap where people can drop off clothing as well as get free clothing. So people can drop off clothing right now. That started October 1st at Center 50 Plus. And then there'll also be a costume swap as well. And then there'll finally be a photo booth where kids can take photos in their costumes, clothing, pajamas, whatever, with their parents if they'd like, conducted by a professional photographer.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. We're going to go ahead and move back into agenda number 5. It looks like we're going to skip over 5B for the moment, and then we will move on to agenda 5C, the LGBTQIA plus committee, and that will be Commissioner Pressey.
Thank you. We canceled our meeting this month, so I don't really have a whole lot to report on. Just keep in mind that Trans Day of Remembrance is coming up on November 20th, and we've begun planning on that. So keep an eye out. But that's all I have at this moment.
Thank you, Commissioner Pressey. The Disability Rights Task Force, looks like Chair Lara Metcalf isn't here. Chair Lara Metcalf also chairs that task force. We met Monday. We had the opportunity of hearing from Rob, who is the Parks Planning Manager, is that correct? The Parks Planning Manager provided just some insight into what him and his team do regarding planning the layout of parks and the work that they're doing to ensure the accessibility of those parks for individuals with disabilities. And then we also started talking about some of the potential recommendations that we might be able to make, just analyzing just some of the work that we've done just through the organizations that we've had the chance of hearing from throughout the course of this task force, but then as well as some of the listening sessions with individuals with disabilities. I do also want to thank, I'm drawing a blank on the intern's name, but one of the interns, Chloe, one of the interns that's working in Director Bennett's office, they're a Willamette University student, took the time to really just compile all of the stuff that's been discussed in our task force meetings so far, as well as our conversations with members of the public, and they've compiled that into a really nice 13-page document for us to kind of just analyze some of the trends and everything that we've been seeing, but then as well as develop potential recommendations or things that we want to, potentially laser in on and focus a little more in on in the next couple of months before January. And we'll go ahead and kick it off to Commissioner Coleman. Was your hand still raised from the previous item?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, no worries. And we'll go ahead and it looks like Commissioner Marys has their hand raised.
Hi, yes. I actually have an update that is as of 5:40 p.m. today on our final listening session with the Recovery Outreach Community Center. It was scheduled for tomorrow afternoon during their regular monthly community meeting. And there was a miscommunication, and the person that facilitates that meeting didn't find out that we were coming until, I don't know, maybe Monday or so. And he called me Tuesday morning and said that they already had another community partner coming to the meeting tomorrow, and that they could not accommodate us. I sent emails. I got responses from Commissioner Ballard and Director Bennett. And basically, we are able to move it to October 20th, which is a Monday, which, according to the assistant director and the drop-in center manager, a really good day to come because that is their busiest day. So I really was hoping to get approval to move forward and move it to the 20th. I have confirmed that Commissioner Ballard and the intern, Chloe, can join me on the 20th at noon. And if that's okay with everybody, I can go ahead and get that moved and set up tomorrow. But I do need some materials from Director Bennett's office.
Thank you for that update, Commissioner Marys. In the chair's absence, I will go ahead and approve moving that listening session. So let's go ahead and confirm that date for that listening session, and then I will kick it off to Commissioner Bennett. Commissioner Bennett is giving the thumbs up that they'll be able to support with materials for that event. So thank you for scheduling that listening session with The Rock, and I look forward to hearing the things they have to share for that event.
Great. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions from commissioners regarding any of the committee updates? Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move on to agenda item 6, staff updates.
Of which we don't have any, but thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you. No staff updates. And then agenda item 7, member remarks and announcements. Is there any last member remarks you would like to make before we adjourn this meeting? It looks like Commissioner Roche.
I have a lot of questions today. So you had said that the person that is doing the community calendar is no longer actively doing that. I have like my little pocket of people. I'm sure everybody else has their little pocket of people they know that do events from all different kinds of, warm circles that you're in. How do we go about creating that?
That is an excellent question, because it sounds like you're about to volunteer, and I love that you might potentially be wanting to step into this role. So I will kick it off to Director Bennett, who has a little bit more information about how that community calendar ran.
You bet. And I think we're open to change too. The previous commissioner would populate a template with information like date, time, place, link, short description. We had a document that she would lay those pieces in and then get it to staff in time to send it out in the email with the meeting material so that everybody had the information and could consider events. If you think you might be interested, we could send you the document that she had done so you could see an example, and then go from there if you want.
As long as it's not too time consuming. I think it would maybe more be of some collaborative effort where all of us have a cutoff date where we can put in what we know is going on, and like a live document, then you guys just pull that information off. And I don't know. I don't know that I want to volunteer, but I'm really interested.
Thank you. That's a good idea. My colleague Chris is reminding me, for example, if there was a Google document where people could pop events as you're aware, we have a similar document anytime we commit to tabling or providing an information booth at an event. For example, we have a place where people can sign up. And we could create a document, and then if people become aware of events, they can pop it on there and then you can see them. What I would caution you about is I wouldn't be able to have you do any sort of discussion on the document because we want to make sure any discussion is available and accessible to the public. But I think that it would be fine to just like load event information, kind of a one way, not a discussion.
Thank you. Looks like Commissioner Murray has their hand raised.
Also, I found the hand raise button. It was where it was always. Yeah, so like a Google Sheet, you can make Google Sheets into calendars, and then we can just like like any events and like information. So like that would be super easy. So I think Commissioner Roche, I'm here for it.
I like that idea. I mean, if somebody wants to maybe spearhead working with staff on, just a form or a sheet that people, it's just a link that they just fill out when they know of events and there's no discussion going on. I think it's a good way of just keeping everyone apprised of those events while also avoiding any potential unsanctioned discussions. Serial communications. So I think just like a one-way form that we can create. Commissioner Murray, are you familiar with how to create sheets in Google and this whole calendar thing you were talking about?
I am indeed. I don't know, and I want to hear other people's opinions on this. I don't know if we need just a one-way form. I think we've done this before on documents where we all have access to it, but we know that we cannot have those discussions. So I think we can have the Google Sheet calendar just open for people to submit, like put it in themselves. But if people aren't comfortable with that, I can also make a Google form.
Commissioner Murray, this is Gretchen. I'm comfortable with that. We haven't ended up in discussion on the other ones that we've made, so I agree. I think we can use it as intended and just have a typical form.
Commissioner Murray, where did you find that hand raise button?
Okay, well,
it's in React.
Actually, I do have a question on that. With the calendar, this is just for us as the commission to load up, correct? Not like open to the public to load up.
Yeah, correct.
And then what if, let's say, I load up something and I'm like, oh, that doesn't quite fit with the definition of our focus populations or whatever. Does staff have the nope authority?
That's a question. I think we'd probably, just call and have a conversation and say, oh, we're thinking this might not fit the scope of the commission for this or that or the other reason. And thanks for saying that, because that is what we would do. Is we've generally focused the calendar on Salem area events, not like everything in other cities, but just focused locally. And then we've focused in on the areas that the commission focuses on, our race, ethnicity, age, disability, etc. Garton was a great example because that focuses on people in Salem with disabilities.
Great discussion happening on this community calendar. Any other questions, comments, discussion regarding the community calendar? None. Any last member remarks or announcements? Seeing none, the time is 7:10 and this meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.